WWDC 키노트 후 애플파크에서 애플의 카메라 및 포토, 소프트웨어 담당 임원분들 만나서 아이폰의 새로운 사진 AI 기능에 대한 이야기를 들어봤는데요.
Hello.
No.
So, as we said, we have 3 new tools, and those are Cleanup, Extend, and our new Spatial Reframing tool. I'll show you Cleanup first. So here in the Photos app, we have a new Tools option in the lower right. I'll tap on Cleanup right here. And taking advantage of Private Cloud Compute, Cleanup can now remove larger and more complicated objects like this horse in the background. So I'll just circle what I want to remove and tap on Cleanup. Our previous Cleanup model was based on a GAN model, Generative Adversarial Network model, which was an on-device model. And the benefits of that is that it's really fast, but it's really good at removing small objects. Now we actually have both models as part of Cleanup. So if you want to remove a small object, it'll use that local on-device model. And if you want to remove something larger or a more complex scene, then that will send it to Private Cloud Compute and take advantage of the more powerful cloud-based model. So here's our result, and you can see that it's done a really nice job of removing that object while keeping our subject intact. All of those lines at the edge of her clothing are really well preserved. And in fact, it's even preserved the whiskers around the nose of the horse in the foreground. Next, we'll take a look at Extend. Here's the Tools pane, and Extend is right here in the middle, so I'll tap on that. And you can see that it gives me a suggestion. It zooms out of the photo so that I can add more space around my photo. This tool is also available right in the Crop tool, which is really helpful if you need to straighten a horizon that's crooked, but you don't want to crop anything out of your photo. And it also works on the lock screen when you're creating a wallpaper. And you can see our result here, and it's filled in the edges really naturally. It's really good at understanding how light falls across the scene and can complete these shadows in a really natural looking way. It's also really good at understanding what's in focus and what should be out of focus, and having that really natural focus fall off into the background. And of course, it hasn't changed anything about our subjects. Those pixels have remained exactly the same, so that this moment is the same moment that really happened. We've just filled in a little bit around the edges. And then lastly, we have a tool called Spatial Reframing, which is really, really cool. It's using our on-device spatial model that also powered the Spatial Scenes feature in iOS 26 to create a 3D Gaussian splat of this photo. So that's creating a pixel by pixel 3D map that I can interact with in real time. So this is actually a photo of my son learning to ski last February. This was his first day skiing. As you can see, he's really proud of himself. He has a big smile, but I wish that I'd done a better job framing the photo because there's this ski lift in the background, and I wish that he were more prominent in the scene. So now with spatial reframing, I can just change the framing and move the camera down, and I can zoom in to get the perfect frame, and I'll tap reframe. So this is really cool. I'll show you the before and the after, and you can see that my son is more prominent in the frame, and he looks really happy with his first day of skiing. And the composition is just much better with that ski lift covered up behind him. So we're true to the original moment, but this is now the photo that I want to print out and put on my refrigerator or put on my mantle. So we're really excited about these features because we think they solve these real customer problems that people have with their photographs in a really smart and intuitive way so that anyone can use these features and have their photos be the photos that they really hoped they would be when they took the photo.
It is really important to us to make sure that what we fill in is good quality, and a lot of that comes from the way Apple uses training data. We make sure that the quality of the training data that we use matches the quality of the output that we want. But another thing that we do is we're always very careful to only change the pixels that absolutely have to be changed. So say, for example, with spatial reframing, what you just saw in the demonstration was that the little boy got moved around and moved up in the scene. That created some gaps in the image that needed to be refilled in, but everything other than those gaps is still the original image. So it's very important to us to retain as much of the original detail as we can, and by doing this, we can preserve the moment. What you've seen in these 3 features today is we really are giving our customers superpowers.
So we're really excited for our users to be able to try out these features and provide feedback to Apple on how their experience is going.
많은 사람들이 벌써 베타를 써보고 있더라고요. 개인적으로 궁금했던 거는 이번에 발표된 모델이 이게 애플과 구글의 협력을 통해서 만들어진 걸로 알고 있는데, 역할에서 애플은 어떤 역할을 수행했는지가.
So Apple and Google collaborated on the collection of foundation models that are powering Apple Intelligence. So Apple and Google worked together to integrate some of the foundational technologies behind the Gemini family of models into the Apple Foundation models. And that includes ADM3 Cloud, which is the diffusion model that powers our image generation capabilities. Apple then took those models and further trained and refined them and developed the adapters, which are responsible for the individual features that you see, like cleanup, extend, and spatial reframing, so that we can tune those models to produce the outputs exactly what we want to see for each of those use cases.
이게 보니까는 아이폰 17 프로나 맥의 M3 모델 이상부터 가장 유능한 온디바이스 모델을 사용할 수 있다는 발표를 봤습니다. 근데 사용자가 이런 클린업이나 확장 기능 같은 걸 쓸 때도 이런 모델을 사용할 때 차이점이나 영향이 있을지.
Thank you, that's a great question. The answer is that all of these three features will be available in a free software update for anyone who has an Apple Intelligence capable device. So that's iPhone 15 Pro and newer. A user with an iPhone 15 Pro won't see any differences for these features compared to someone on an iPhone 17 Pro. Supercharged model that you mentioned that resides on device powers some things like expressive voices and improved dictation, but doesn't have any impact on these photos editing features.
이걸 궁금해하시는 구독자분들이 많았을 것 같은데 궁금증 해소가 됐을 것 같습니다. 프레임 재설정 기능이 이게 온디바이스 처리하고 프라이빗 클라우드 컴퓨터 기능을 결합한 거라고 설명을 들었는데 촬영한 사진에 따라서 어떤 거는 회전이 좀 많이 되는 게 있고 어떤 거는 조금밖에 안 움직이는 경우가 있더라고요. 이런 부분은 어떤 장면에서 발생되는 건지 사용자가 알면 좋은 게 있는지.
Spatial reframing is a very complicated piece of technology, but we want it to just feel magical and easy. And so that's why when we designed it, we just designed it so that you could use your finger, tap it on whatever the person, the animal, whatever, move it around, and that had to happen in real time. And so in order to do that, we used this technology called Gaussian splatting, which we actually got to do a lot of work on as part of Vision Pro and then the 3D work that we introduced. That all happens on device. So when you go into spatial reframing, it goes and segments the image and understands depth in the image. So we basically break the image down into parts. And then as you move it around, we are doing all of that locally using Gaussian splatting. But something that's really important to us is that we want to be able to keep the integrity of the image. We don't want you to be able to use these tools to create something that basically wasn't there. So, for example, if you've got a person right on the side of the frame, like so you say you've taken a photograph of me and sort of this part of me is on the frame, we won't let you go any further than that because that would mean we would have to make up part of one of the major subject of the image's bodies, and that's not something we feel is appropriate. But if you had framed me and there was just trees on one side and trees on the other, you can move me around just like you saw Della moving her son around in that frame. So what you see when you can move it to different degrees in different photographs is that's because we're deeply understanding the content and we're making sure that you will never get into a place where we need to make up pixels for key parts of the image.
It's a great example of how Apple Intelligence can use both on-device models and models in the cloud to create a seamless user experience that you don't have to think about as a user where the information or the intelligence resides. It just works, and it works beautifully in a really simple way.
앞으로 이렇게 애플 인텔리전스를 수정하면은 신스 아이디 워터마크를 이제 곧 도입할 거라고 예정이라고 들었는데요. 온라인에 포스팅하거나 했을 때 이 부분이 신스 아이디가 적용된다라는 걸 다른 사람이 알아볼 수 있는 방법이 있는지.
Synth ID watermark is a watermark that people can't see, and so it is built into the image. One of the great things about it is that it is built into the image in a way that even if you do something like screenshot it, that image will be, that watermark will be retained. And so, yeah, other people will be able to use tools to check to see if an image has got a Synth ID watermark in it. But it won't be something that you can just see by looking at it. It's something that you'll need to use a tool for.
툴은 애플에서 제공해 주는지.
We are working on trying to understand the best way for the industry because there are going to be, as you've seen, a number of different companies are going to be using Synth ID, and so we're still working on the best way to roll that out, and we'll update you as we make further decisions.
마지막으로 클린업 개선돼서 개인적으로도 마음에 드는데 패스트 모델하고 퀄리티 모델을 고를 수가 있더라고요. 근데 제가 해보니까 클린업 패스트는 오프라인도 되는 것 같더라고요. 그런 이전 방식의 결과물을 지우는 스타일인지.
Yes, so it is the same model that was previously included with Cleanup for the past couple of years. It's called a Generative Adversarial Network Model, a GAN model, which is a smaller model that can reside on device. And it's great for doing things quickly, small blemishes, small objects in the background. But when you have a more complex scene or you want to remove a larger object, the high quality model that resides on private cloud compute can help you with that. So we think it's great that users have the choice of both and can take the best of both worlds.
궁금증을 많이 해소했습니다. 많은 분들에게 도움이 됐길 바라고 앞으로도 좋은 업데이트를 기대하도록 하겠습니다.
Wonderful. Thank you for
Thank you so
being
much.
here.
Thank
It's so
you.
nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.